Ladies and gentlemen, gal them, man them, all the people them. This is a second episode of Convos with E. Today I'll talk to you about perfection doesn't exist. Well, before I get into the topic, let me just re-explain the format of Convos with E. This episode is predominantly a conversation with myself. It's a conversation with myself based on the observations I've had on society, seeing seeing what society has to offer, and just literally taking it all in as a man living in this 21st century society. But without further ado, let's get into the podcast episode. Now, I said perfection doesn't exist. What I mean is that perfection in and of itself, this whole reality, this whole idea of perfection doesn't exist. And once you stop chasing it, that's when you fully be free. See, no one's perfect. No man, no woman is perfect. People are not perfect. Things are not perfect. I believe in a specific law, a law called the law of transience, in which you are above all permanent fixtures of matter. You are constantly moving. You are constantly, there's a constant shift in matter and time. Now, to be perfect, there has to be an objective, ideal standpoint. Objectively speaking, that is. If you were to look at the definition of perfect, let me search this up right now. Pretty sure it's to be without faults. And that is correct. It is to be without faults. To be perfect is to be without faults. It's of everything good. Now, humans and life and nature of all things is not without fault. So I say this to say that perfection doesn't exist. It is a quality that's been hijacked, fed to you in a way that you've been made to believe that perfection is real. It's not. Perfection is not real. But you know what is real? Greatness. And here's where greatness and perfection differ. See, me, I'm an average man. At least I think to be. Trust me, I'm not no above average giga chad. I'm an average 27-year-old man, still figuring out this plane of existence. And one thing that I've realized about this self-development journey is that this journey just doesn't stop. We are constantly in a state of becoming. We are constantly in a state of improving day after day after day after day after day. And so therefore, you won't be without fault. Put it simply, in this life, you will not be without fault. And in a weird way, that's okay. Because this life is I'm a firm believer that in this life, you are to just become. You're just in an ever state. I'm going to go deep here. You are the all in one and the one in all. Meaning, you are an infinite drop in the ocean. You are the all in one grain of sand. It's hard for me to simplify it, but we're a puzzle in the infinite We're nothing but a mere piece in the puzzle, which is infinite. That's what I think. And it keeps on going because you need to keep creating. You need to keep, like, and I'm going to go deeper again. For you to be without faults, for you to be perfect, that means there's nothing else to create. You are absolutely perfect. There's nothing else to create because you have no faults. So why do you need to create? Which is kind of why we have death, but that's an even deeper topic. But perfection is faultless, which is why it doesn't exist in our reality. This reality has many faults. Not even fault in reality, but we as humans have many faults. There's days when the sky is not perfect. There's days where we just don't feel perfect as humans in the first place. And so, going back to the topic at hand, I've realized one thing about reality and one thing about society is that there's a constant need for the chase of perfection in life. Everyone's always in a rush to be perfect, always in a rush to really just get to that perfect destination. But I hate to break it to you. Not hate to break it to you, but I'm starting to think that there is no perfect destination. Maybe there is for some people. Maybe I don't want to sound pompous, but maybe maybe certain people will get what I'm trying to say. But you know, this shit don't stop, and that's what makes it perfect because we're always improving. We're always becoming better. But in order to always become better, you need to be aware that you have the ability to become better. And by me saying that, I mean, especially if you're a man too. If you're a man, I realize this. If you're a man, you, this is where greatness comes into play because greatness is the ability to apply yourself in every aspect to the fullest capacity and leave the rest to God. That's me. That's my definition of being a great person is to be able to fully apply yourself in the state of becoming in spite of everything that's against you and leave the rest to God. You becoming better. And this is why I have the 4 pillars. By the way, shout out to the African Man podcast. I got the 4 pillars. My 4 pillars came from his concept. And the 4 pillars are emotional stability. Every person, and especially a man, every man needs to be emotionally stable. You need to understand your emotions and you need to be able to feel them but react by design. Emotional stability. Spiritual connection with a higher power. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. This life, one thing I'm realizing about this self-development / self-improvement journey or / self-actualization. You know what? Self-actualization, that's what I'm going to call it. This self-actualization journey is that you need to realize that there is a higher power at play. And I realize it. What we call luck is what it's usually deemed as divine intervention or the stars aligning and who made the universe? A creator. Now, if you're an atheist, fair enough. Believe what you need to believe, but this universe is intelligently designed. Very intelligently. And we only know, I don't even think we even know that much. So to rely on the theory about Charles Darwin, anyway, let me not even get too deep into that. But what I'm trying to say is that, shit, I almost lost my point there. No, what I'm trying to say is that, yes, the 4 pillars. Emotional stability, spiritual connection with a higher power, whether that's Allah, Yahweh, God, Yeshua, whoever. You pray to a higher power because it could always be worse. That's my philosophy. Physical dexterity. You need that. I think a healthy human being needs to take care of themselves physically. But for a man, you need to be able to endure. Yeah, you need that endurance. You need that endurance because, ooh, my if you're an ambitious man, you need to have that endurance, my guy. You need to have that endurance. A strong body is a strong body equates to a strong mind. That's my now as it pertains to emotions. There's some strong bodies, but there's some weak emotions. We're emotional men out there, but I'm not gonna get too deep into that. And lastly, so we went over financial, emotional, spiritual. Oh no, the last one was yes, financial security. Those are my four pillars: emotional stability, spiritual connection, physical dexterity, and financial security. Learn how money works. Learn how money works. But going back to the topic at hand again, because I love my sideline tangents. But going back to the topic at hand again, greatness exists because greatness is the ability to apply yourself in life to the fullest, in the fullest capacity, and leave the rest to God. It is looking at reality and understanding that, my mom, we're in a fucked up position, but we will apply ourselves, and God will, and the rest will figure it out. But having said that, you need a plan, and that's for another episode. But to wrap it all up, perfection doesn't exist. People have vices. Have yeah, people have vices. People have things that they're not proud of. But the main thing is that you apply yourself to become better constantly. The mountain is you. Anyway, guys, this is just a monologue to me. Yeah, slight monologue conversation with E. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think perfection exists? Do you think there is a fault, an objective perfection? Not an objective, but do you think there is some form of objective perfect concept? Do we all need a Bugatti? Shout out to that fuck nigga Andrew Tate. Bugatti. I'm joking. But yeah, guys. Anyway, this is E, your gracious, humble host. E. This has been Convos with E. Feel free to like and subscribe. Stick around. We have more episodes regarding reinvention and just general conversations, man. Just general conversations. I think we're on the precipice of a turning point in human history, and join me as I navigate this journey. Anyway, guys, I'll see you on Sunday. Peace.